Howdy everyone. I'll start off this video by saying we're working on a 2018 Malibu LT. The brackets have all broke on the right side, passenger side headlight, and we're going to have to put a new one in it. I'm going to remove the whole bumper because there's some other defects. I think that's what you got to do anyways, but there's some other defects down by where the auxiliary light is, fog light. And I really don't know how this video is going to go. This is a eBay headlight. Cost me $58. It lasts me a year, and I have to replace it every year. That's still better than the $700 they want from GM. Also, mine's filling up with water. But I don't know how this video is going to go because I was going to have plenty of time to do this. I was going to have about 12 hours because I was going to do some other stuff with the car. But somebody sideswiped me this week, and I have to go get an estimate in the middle of the day. So it's taking all my time away now. But so it may be photos, it may be video. I know it's not going to be a full video. Videos just take a lot of time to put everything in the right place. And so it's easier to take pictures and then go over it. So link will be in the description below. Cool, it came with a bulb. Right there's $3. Does have a seal. Probably lube that up a little bit. That way it's easier to get out next time. Okay, that's there. The adjuster's there. Looks like it's gonna plug right in. Let's make sure we got all our lights. Turn signal light, and there is one more that's not easy to get to. It goes clear down the side, goes right there, and this one is LED. If you guys have ever changed that bulb, it is not easy to do, and I can see the two little diodes in there. Two little... So that's an upgrade. That's kind of nice. There's another adjuster right there. The brackets that are broken on mine are this. This one finally broke, and then there's a lower one right here. Now for all that to come off, I'm just going to remove the bumper because the bumper goes right through this line right here. Maybe I can tilt it, I don't know. I'm going to play around with it a little bit, but your bumper goes right into here. So that makes it pretty hard to do. I'm not going to remove the plastic yet. It says it's DOT certified. Does not have the Chevy emblem on that little piece of plastic that's in there. Do have the little halo looking balls. I did not know this was going to come with an LED in it. It's kind of nice. Yeah. So what goes right there? It looks like they're going to put a module on there at some point. This is going on a 2018 Malibu. I actually had an 01 Monte Carlo at one time that had a module on there and would tell you when your headlights burn out. And this is 15 years later, and the car don't even tell you it's burnt out. Which is nice because then I don't have to worry about water getting in there and ruining anything. Any motherboards, because that one had a built-in motherboard. There we go. Let's go put it on. I'm going to tell you everything you need to use and do, and the tips and techniques to get one of your headlights in. This one's going to be a passenger side. I couldn't do a video because I was going to have all day to do the video, but someone sideswiped my car and ripped like the whole side of the car off, and I can replace it myself, whether they total it or not. But I didn't have the time in the day because right in the middle of the day they wanted to do the insurance look over. So visualize the front of your car, and I took pictures instead, but I kind of like the pictures because I get done quick, and the pictures come out better than a video sometimes. So jack your car up or do whatever. If you can follow my mouse right here, normally there's a trim piece right here, but you see how it's all busted right there on my car? Mine's a tow car, so mine doesn't stay on, so I just took mine off. That's these screws that are not. That's these screws with the tabs. I took out all these. They're all 7 millimeter. 7 millimeter is going to be your friend on this. I took out every single one of these screws. This is underneath your car, and then this panel right here just kind of slumps down a little bit when you pull this out. But this is all you got to do underneath. Just take out every single one of them. That's the underneath. Then there's going to be a junction right here behind this inner fender. We'll get to it later. Mine busted when I took it out. They're $8 for both sides. I think they're made to kind of bust when you take them apart. Mine were busted from the previous people, so I knew they were going to be busted when I took them out. But you're going to want to take that screw out. It's a 7 millimeter. There's a 7 millimeter here, and there's a 7 millimeter down a little bit lower, and that's your inner fender. It's kind of clothy, and it'll bend how you want it. That's a picture of me taking out all the screws, just to show you that I did take them all out. Yours may be rusty or not. Just be careful with them. That's me after I took them all out, and you can see it started to separate from this piece that stays on the car. Again, you'll have a piece of rubber right here, most likely, unless yours is ripped off too. And this is that section I told you. It was behind that inner fender that we'll get to later. That breaks. This piece goes clear back in here, and it joins these two together, and also it joins the headlight to this piece, a corner of the headlight. This screw comes out with the inner fender, that material stuff. This one holds the bottom of the bumper on, so you're going to want to take that out. And then I went ahead and took these two screws out because it puts a gap in between this metal and plastic, because maybe it's on the next picture. No, here's the underneath. It's a 7 millimeter on these two. You do need an extension to get up in there. I used a 1/4 inch drive to get up in here, and then there was one up in here. Took that. I just took them all the way out. And the reason you want that little gap in there is because this is how it's pushed in. One screw holds it in, and then these clips clip right in there and hold it in. Well, when them are tight, it pushes this clear up against the metal and makes it so it doesn't come out as easy. So if you loosen up all this, basically taking this piece of plastic out, that black plastic, it's easier to get these out. And I just yanked on these and they pop right out. Normally breaks this. You can see mine's broken right here. It actually goes down further and secures this and my inner fender. There's the hole for the inner fender. These are $8 on eBay. I don't know what they're called. If someone asks, I'll put it in the description what they are. But $8 for both sides. Simple, easy to put in, and they already have the clips, the self-threading clips. So that's the same on both sides. I don't think I took a picture on both sides. There's again the clips, and there's no way to get into them clips because you can see this comes out to the plastic. You can't shove a screwdriver in there. Just yank on it, it comes right out. Again, you can see mine's busted. It's supposed to go down to this hole and this hole. And then on the top, it's a, I'll get to it. There's my pink towel. There's these screws on the top, which are a Torx. Took out every single one of them. They have big washers on them. They go clear across, and I think the first one does start right there. And I think my next picture shows it. It's a T15 Torx. And you can get a 1/4 inch, or you can get the screwdriver, but they all come out. I don't remember how many there are. Just look at your car, you'll see. And then where your headlight, right, I am so sorry for this. Okay, right here, see how this piece of trim goes around and meets right here? This is 2-piece bumper. Oh, it's a 1-piece bumper, but it's divided right here. It's kind of like wings. This piece right here is your bumper, comes off with your front bumper, and comes right here, and it meets right here with this metal. We already unhooked these with that piece of plastic that normally busts when you take it off, but I'm talking about right here. You're going to want to pop your hood, and in your hood, there's already a ton of stuff missing here. Don't lose your tools down in this, or I don't know where they go. But in here is a 10 millimeter wrench, or bolt. Spray it with some lube to get it out good, but you can use a ratchet wrench to get it out, or you can use an extension, go way back over here. But you can see this is my bracket for my headlight. It's busted, and I JB welded it. It still came out. And as you take it out, look at this little piece of plastic, because that plastic could fall out and you could lose it. Oh, I guess I zoomed out a little bit. Right here's your hood thing. I'm doing the passenger side again. The metal meets the plastic. You just kind of take it out. And up here you can put a dry extension clear down there. Again, it's 10 millimeters, and you can do it there. You may need a little swivel, but I have a ratchet wrench. It only has to come out a little bit, and then both sides came out with my finger.
And I also put them in that way. So you got to do this on both sides. And once you're done, see that, well, this is what it looks like if I put my camera down in there. It's just that 10 millimeters and it comes out. And then this piece of plastic comes out. You kind of wiggle it. Right here it's wedged in. It's lightly wedged back in the back. And you just kind of wiggle it and it pops right out. Don't lose that because that's kind of its own washer, but a huge washer. And that's what it looks like when it comes out. It's kind of got a little wedge back here, and then that goes in. And yeah, it's that long, 10 millimeter. And then there, as you pull the bumper off, it just kind of falls off. You just pull it out a little bit. There's a connector right here. Make sure you connect that connector because 10 minutes ago, this is a day later, 10 minutes ago, I had to take my inner fender out in my driveway and plug this back in because this runs your, if it's a certain model, it runs your sensors up here, and it also runs your rinky-dink fog lights, them weird lights in the front, if you have them. But make sure you take that off. I think my clip's already been busted. I've had my bumper off so many times. There's a red clip maybe on there. Just push down on it and slide it out. Also, to get this out easier, push them together before you try pulling them apart because most likely the tension is already against that. And if you push it together, the tension will disappear, and then when you push that in, it'll probably just slide right out. There's the connector. Yeah, you just got to push that part down. Looks like there used to be a red slidey thing in there. There's a red slidey thing in there. Just use a screwdriver and pop it backwards. Just kind of keeps it so that don't accidentally get pushed down. This is all underneath your bumper now. There's one of the 10 millimeters to get. See, mine's broken right here too. I had two of them broken. That's right where them T16s or whatever were, T6s. It's underneath there. I wish I would have zoomed out a little bit on that one. And then on the left side where you put that 10 millimeter in, if you remember this was broken earlier, that's a 10 millimeter. Or it's a 7. Don't hold me to it. Don't hate me just because that could have been a 7. That's a 7 millimeter. Means the other one was 7 millimeter too. Now underneath the headlight there is this bracket right here. That's a 7 millimeter right there. My bracket was super loose, went up and down, and my headlight was just everywhere. So I had to tighten that up, but I did not tighten it up right away. I put the light in. It's a hard fixed mount. It does not use these screws to adjust its angle or anything. So just mount it in and tighten that last if that's what you're having to do, because that's what mine did. These all came right out, but they did feel really chintzy, like maybe 10 years from now they won't come out. This is what it looks like with the headlight out. There's that harness you gotta remember to unplug. There's the headlight bulb harness that plugs into the back of it. My rust was pretty good. I didn't have too much. This may look a little bit different like this wire here because mine's a tow car. I put the screws back in until the bolts back in until I put the new one in. I just cleaned it up a little bit with some soapy water before I put it all back in. Don't know what that's a picture of. Is that a picture of my other side? I think that's a picture of my other. What is that? I got a crack into my frame? Let's just act like I've never seen that. Looks like I need some more fluid. Again, that's the bracket that was a little bit loose. That's the harness for the headlight that plugs into the headlight. So mine came out like that, but was weird. But there's one more screw on your headlight, and that is in that plastic that breaks all the time. For me, at least, I broke them twice. That piece of plastic that held your fender together that I said loosen a little bit, and the clip pull out. There's the clips. There's a if you've busted it too much, mine was busted, but there's a 7 millimeter that goes into the side of your headlight, and that's also on both sides if you're replacing both or just one. There, I went ahead and put in the new one. Got my 7 millimeter tight there, tight there. It does look like it has adjustments, but I just pushed it all the way in and made sure the trim fit all the way around. And I put the 7 in here, and also remember to plug in your harness. And see that bolt goes right into the housing right there. Mine was totally busted right here, and this is my new plastic. See how it's a lot longer? The old one ended like right in this area. It goes down there all the way now. Put screws up in there, which aren't there right now because I didn't even know this did this because my old one was busted. Went ahead and put that 7 millimeter in, tightened that up, and the whole thing became pretty tight after that. Really tight. Everything's tight. Make sure this trim right here is good. I think that's about it on that. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, this is what I had to do. So this is my inner bumper. My car goes through hell. It's got 662,000 miles on it. And if I replaced a bumper every time something went wrong, I would be broke. So I JB welded it, did an awful job because my bumper has these little clips. See these little clips? They push in and the bumper just falls right off if that gets pushed in. Well, them clips start busting as they get old and brittle from the heat of the road, and them are still good, but these were not. So I pulled them through as far as I could. See, there's a little tab of it there, and I JB welded it in, put JB weld between the plastics even, and then shoved it all together, and that's where your fog light goes in. But you don't have to do this. Just ignore what I'm showing you here. This is just pictures to show. That's your inner bumper. Hit me JB weld. I decided to do both sides because bumpers and paint jobs on them aren't too cheap. So as you're putting the bumper in, you'll figure it out. But this is it put in. That lines up, but do not use the bolt to pull it in. It all snaps in. Don't snap this in right away. Actually, there's little pins that need to be pushed underneath here, and they're a little bit like a stubby piece of plastic that stops this plastic from being on top of it. And up here, you just kind of like roll it and it goes in. It's really simple. This is not that hard of a job. And then I put these in first and then pulled these up and I tightened all them. And I had a little bit of problem here, but you just push it. My bumper's kind of deformed anyways, but that stuff I JB welded was all this. This was all pushed in, and when I start driving down the road, the wind pushes it in. So I just JB welded it back into place, and it looks like shit because it's not clean, and it'll never be clean because this bumper is actually now turning black because so many rock chips. And there's both sides. I think it looks good to get me down the road. Also, check your lights before you put your bumper back on, just in case the connection isn't good. I made sure my turn, my headlight, high beam, and low beam. Also, this aftermarket headlight had LEDs for right here. The originals have this really long stick you have to use that were just awful. I ended up to level them. I know this side was all right, but I put a tape measure here and measured out 2 foot, and then put the tape measure on the ground and measured up. And because these are the halo beams, there is a certain spot where you can see the beam, and it was 31 inches. But I felt it was kind of low at times, so I went up to 32 inches. There's a little adjustment on the top. They're all different, so I'm not going to tell you what size that was. Just when you get your headlight in, check what the adjuster thing is because it was actually set like 28 inches high. But you definitely want it high, but not too high because you'll always have people flashing you, or you could even get pulled over. I know people want bright lights and be able to see, but just leave your high beams on instead of adjusting your low beams too low. These did look totally different, and this one actually looks so much better. I'm thinking about just taking the bumper back off and putting another headlight on this side. Do not forget to plug these in. That's what I was talking about. There's my sensor. There's my sensor. I don't even use that sensor because when the car starts, it detects my tow bar and it automatically shuts that system down. I still have blind spot alert, but I just don't have like proximity, what's around me, which I didn't even use anyways. But that plugs them in, and it plugs these in. Which, if you want to know if them work, your car has to be running and in gear. You can't kick these on manually. At least I couldn't figure it out because I just did it 10 minutes ago. But yeah, all this fits right in. Put these screws in. When you put these screws in on top, them T6s or T16s or whatever they are, don't put them all the way in. Put them in halfway, halfway, halfway. Get every one of them in, and then do the ones underneath and get all of them in loosely. That way you don't, because you have to, it's plastic. You got to push it into its spots. That way it's all good. And once you put the top ones in first and then go underneath and do these loose, and then after you get them all loose and all in, then tighten them all down on the bottom and then come back up here and tighten them all down. If not, you're going to put a tight one here and then you're going to find out this whole thing needs pushed over or pushed towards the engine. I had some of the washers weren't even big enough. It was kind of weird. So this is my picture today, just to show you I'm not bullcrapping you. See that harness? This is the fabric looking into the inner fender with the bumper already on, and there is the plug just sitting there saying, "Hey, you forgot to plug me in." Wasn't too hard. I actually reached above there and plugged it in, but it took me longer to figure out why isn't it turning on. That was because it wasn't in gear. So it sucks. I forgot about that, but at least I could plug it in, and you can go through the right inner fender. Looks like my JB Weld's holding. That's good. Well, hopefully this helps somebody. I'll go through the photos again really quick, see if I forgot anything. Yeah, just keep these a little bit loose. You don't have to take out all these, because actually one of the I think it's these with the metal clips. They actually hold on this thing up front, but I just took them all out because I think that goes through this plastic. Even the screw's like longer, so it goes through this plastic, so it's gonna get caught pulling it off anyway. So I just took them all off. My gap didn't look right there. See that gap? Because that plastic was broke behind there. I have no gap there right now. Obviously the roll of the plastic and metal, but I don't have a gap there. I did not count all these. Don't ask me. My car does look like crap, but it does the job. 662,000 miles, and we are going from Chicago to LA tomorrow and back, as long as she makes it. I still haven't put a tranny in her yet. I haven't put anything into it. These haven't broke. I've had this bumper off a lot, and just put a new tow bar or a base plate on it. There's my pink towel. Them washers do stay on the screws, by the way. T15, sorry. T15 7mm, you're gonna need an extension. I did everything with a 1/4-inch ratchet, a 10mm ratchet wrench. The ratchet wrench was really the best choice. I don't like right there. 10mm ratchet wrench was best. Maybe a screwdriver, to flat tip screwdriver for the fitting or the thing, and then pop right back in. Just remember the tab goes on the inside by the engine, not out there, but it's the shape of the fender, so it shouldn't be too hard for you. I don't know what the other spot is, but you go through there with the bolt. And make sure your air cleaner is all clean. This is actually your air that the car gets. Make sure there ain't like a nest right here or something. Because that's, if your car ain't getting air or not enough air, you could have some problems. And taking this bumper off was easy, but not something I want to do every day. Remember that plug in the back? I don't know if you could plug it in afterwards or not. That was the thing I just can't remember to keep telling you guys. 7mm, it goes into the side of the light. Don't over tighten it. I used an impact, or not an impact, I used a drill and I put on like a 7. That way I could just zip, 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 zip everything back in. And if you put on like a 7, it automatically does the torque for you. Like it doesn't over torque it. A 7 wasn't too bad. It went clear up to 22, I think, and then solid, like, let's rip this car apart. Also with this aftermarket headlight, the only thing that I noticed, I like it actually better than stock because it's brighter and it's LED on the side. And maybe it'll last forever, I don't know. But the Chevy emblem is not on that piece of plastic right there. This actually came with all the light bulbs too, and I just left them in it. Yeah, there's a little Chevy emblem that's on there. But while you're in there, just make sure your car's all good because you don't want to have to do this again like I did. Thanks for watching. Have any questions, let me know.